I am a big fan of an E-Type Jaguar. I know it's not the most exciting of choices, but I just think it was the most beautifully sculpted car that couldn't possibly exist today. And it's an echo of the time of its creation. It has a story to tell. When I was about 7, we visited a coastal town in the UK called Weston-super-Mare. My grandparents lived there. 2 things happened. One, on the same day, I saw somebody talking to a television camera and thought, that's amazing. And then I turned round, was a classic car show going on. And as a 7-year-old, it took my breath away. There were hot rods and classics with sweeping wings and beautiful shapes. I fell in love with classic cars and television on that same day. I'm often asked which car I enjoy driving the most, but it depends on the context. If I'm driving home to see my daughters, I don't mind what car I'm in, but if I'm going off for an adventure, I should be in a Toyota Land Cruiser, but I'd rather be in a Land Rover because it's got more character. Any car with personality, and I'll be happy driving. This isn't a difficult question for me, and it won't be a surprise. I'd choose a Porsche 911. Because it works, it performs because it's fast, but it's practical and it's tough. And that's the car I would choose to drive forever. It's not always practical, but I'd make it work. I've got so many special moments in so many special cars. Moments on racetracks, moments when things have gone wrong. Moments crossing deserts, jungles, glaciers, finding a deadly spider in my Land Cruiser in Bolivia, driving on the Arctic ice. I think probably it would be in Africa, and probably when we went to Kubu Island, which is in Botswana, in the middle of the Makani salt flats. I was in Oliver, which is the little yellow Opel Kadett I drove for that shoot, and it was magnificent, seeing my mates either side of me in their cars, through the dust, and arriving at a beautiful island sticking up out of a dried up sea with baobab trees on it. I was a very lucky boy to have that experience. I think this is about the most exciting time there's ever been to be a commentator on the car industry and an enthusiast and part of it, because it's undergoing change. Things do have to change. We can't dig up any more carbon and put it into the atmosphere. I get that. Electric vehicles are part of that solution, but not exclusively. We can't all drive electric vehicles. We don't all buy new cars. I think there's a lot to be said for engineering and technology. The solutions are already there. Synthetic fuel can be made at scale. It will be expensive, but you don't have to make the car. The cars are already made, 1.4 billion of them. So I think technology is going to provide the answers as long as we keep a level head. We look at our lives, not just from the point of view of cars and transport, but everything else. We should be mending our clothes, we should be mending our cars and running them on synthetic fuel. The future doesn't have to be dull and unexciting. The day will come when some people faced with the option of an autonomous, anonymous plastic box turning up at their house to take them to work, that's fine. But at the weekend, maybe they'd like to drive out to the countryside in their old VW Golf using synthetic fuel. The internal combustion engine never did any damage to anything. It's the fuel, and we can change that. I think what inspires us all about cars, motorcycles, all things automotive, 2 things. One, as machines, they are an expression of their time. They're a time capsule. They tell us about the aspirations, the hopes, the dreams, the aesthetic preferences of their time. But also, let's not forget their primary job is to move us around the place. We need food, shelter, warmth, resources, friends. Beyond shelter, everything else takes you beyond your cave. And the machine that moves you to do that quickly and efficiently is a machine we're going to love. It moves us physically. Therefore, it moves us emotionally. It's not going away. It will change and evolve along with us. It will always be here. So you should be part of it. Such a difficult question. Because the car depends upon the trip. We have a history on my other shows of deliberately picking the wrong car for the journey. You want a challenge. So probably I would go somewhere in Africa because we always have had, and I've always had a wonderful time filming in Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania, Mozambique, South Africa, Kenya, across Africa. I would choose probably, if I were going for actually getting there, a vintage Toyota Land Cruiser. Probably, just because I know I'd get there. But part of me would want to choose something that was a bit more of a challenge, only two-wheel drive. I think the challenge lies in you when you do a road trip. It really does. And sometimes it doesn't matter where you are or what you're in. When I'm not working, and bear in mind work for me, is it work? It's kind of fun. When I'm not doing that, I do enjoy running. I enjoy walking my dogs, I enjoy flying helicopters, and I enjoy spending time with my daughters. I think a car can be good, it can function well, it can be reliable, it can do the job we want it to do, and it can do all of that without any personality. The second it has foibles, traits, weaknesses, strengths, then it starts to come alive and have character. If you think about it, we could define the ultimate car now in terms of aerodynamic efficiency, durability, cost, manufacture. But we haven't. Why haven't we? Because we, the customers, the consumers, don't want that. We don't want the ultimate compromise. We want something that expresses itself to us and gives us a story to tell other people. We use cars as a form of expression. They go out as well as coming back in. So you need those traits for it to have personality. I've been very lucky because I've always travelled as work. And then you meet people in a different mode. You're not meeting them as a tourist, you're meeting them working. I think be open-minded, look at people in context, look at places in context. Engage with people not as a tourist, but as a person. And if you're lucky, you'll have some incredible experiences. The car is part of that experience, as you're sharing the adventure. And don't be afraid or ashamed of that emotional attachment. It is, as I've said, a machine that moves you physically, so it's bound to move you emotionally. And that's fine. Enjoy. I've driven the Trans-Saharan Highway in Romania, the Death Road in Bolivia. It might be that, actually. It was terrifying, and we saw in that show, we saw Jeremy driving it, and it is frightening. And then James and I drove it that evening because we were still traveling. The cameras had moved on. We drove it in the dark. The alternator had gone on James's car, so it couldn't charge its battery. So I would charge a battery in my car, then we'd stop, pull over, swap the battery over, and I'd charge the other battery. So we didn't really have lights. That was pretty exciting. Would I do it again? Don't tell my wife, but yeah.